Hey everybody, welcome. We are here with something new. I think the first review on this channel. We were kindly given or donated or sent a copy of Tiny Epic Crimes,
Yes.
the deluxe edition by Gamelyn Games, designer Scott Almes.
Yes.
Another game in the series of the Tiny Epic games, of which I've played a couple of them. So
This is my second one that I played.
Second one.
Yeah.
And why we suggested doing this is because Anja kind of likes deduction games, and
I really like deduction games, yeah.
Well, Tiny Epic Crimes sounded like a neat deduction game, right?
Yeah.
So, what is this game all about? So, in this game, we're you can play this co-op and you can play this competitive.
Or solo, if you like.
Or solo, if you like.
Yeah.
Which is actually you play actually a two-player cooperative game by yourself.
Okay.
So what are we in this game? Officers of the law, trying to solve a murder in 48 hours.
A murder. There's been a murder.
Because the mayor is behind our butts to solve this crime in 48 hours. This murder. And the way we do it is we have the city, which are random cards, square cards, and there we have a bunch of tokens on the city which you can interact with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a grid, and you're going to move around with your patrol car, trying to get all these items, and thematically it is questioning or catching witnesses.
Search the scene, you can go on a stakeout, you can bring mobsters in for holding, because you are trying to solve the murder, but there are also mobsters on the maps that you can actually use. So you're gonna catch an informant.
Small little dudes.
Small little dudes, indeed. So it's a dual layer thing. You use the mobsters actually to solve the crime.
Yeah, actually you're trying to get a little bit control of the crime.
Yeah.
In the city while solving the murder. That way it feels a little bit like a small version of police. I forgot the title.
Police something. I have no
It's
idea
one
what
of
you're
my
talking
favorite
about.
games. Police Precinct, that's the game that I was looking for.
Like Police Academy?
Yep.
I don't
Police
know.
Precinct, that was the game. But of course in a tiny epic package,
Yeah.
as they would say. So in the competitive version, the special thing about that is you have night, the parts in the night and parts during the day.
Yeah.
And the day or night have their own actions that you can do during that time. So you have to balance that a little bit, trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
In the co-op game, it's a little bit different. Each player will get a role, and each role can do part of these actions and get certain piece of evidence.
Yeah. It's really important to kind of balance what you do, because every action that you take is going to take time. So you have 48 hours to actually solve the crime. And on the time track, you have night and day. So you're kind of like, oh, do I want to go to the daytime already, or do I want to stay in the nighttime? Kind of depends on what you want to do still. So that's going to affect the decisions that you make in the actions that you're going to choose, or how heavy you want to invest in a certain action, I think.
Which is an interesting concept, but it can also sometimes be a little bit frustrating.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just hard to get to a place where you want to do a certain thing, and driving around costs time as well. So each square you move will cost you 1 hour of the time.
And it's a grid, 5x5 grid. So if you have to go to the other side of the town, it's going to take you loads of time to get there.
Also, when time passes, you will players will cross certain thresholds, which will activate events.
Yeah.
Which will trigger events, and events are these cards, which are pretty thematic. Things happening in the city.
An
arsonist,
like
or you have to get a VIP somewhere or whatever. A whole bunch of these things. The problem is, you cannot have more than 3 events, or bad things happen.
Yeah.
If you get more events, or should get more events, which makes this game kind of like a semi-co-op game, which in most cases, or in as far as I experienced, in all cases can be a problem. Because it's often the one that initiates. You often have to be with more players to solve an event. And the player that solves the event, the last one that does the last step that is necessary to solve the event, gets the biggest reward. But most of the time, someone else has to take the first step.
Or multiple steps.
Like
steps. 4. And the one that does the 5th one gets the reward.
Which takes time. And the rewards can be, well, quite, well, not enough for that first player. Which is a little bit... so the incentive to do these things is not that awesome, because also what you're trying to do actually is, because we didn't tell you yet, so we're trying to get a murderer, find a murderer, and there's this bunch of suspects, and there are 16 suspects in this game, and like a little bit like Clue, one of these 16 will be the murderer, and you're going to draw one at random, and that will go in one of these small envelopes, and that will be the murderer. There you go. So it's a secret, right? So you're trying to deduce by getting suspect cards, and also by finding out certain information about the murderer. There are these things. You have 2 gangs in the town.
Murder weapons.
There's 2 possible murder weapons. There's 2 possible evidence, like fingerprints or footprints.
Is he a boss or an underboss?
And there's this. There's this bosses or underboss. So you can start deducing by getting these clues. Now, some of these clues you can get by getting these suspect cards, but if you get a suspect card, it's only 1/16 of the solution. Or 1/15 maybe.
You know who it isn't.
You know who is not the murderer. And a lot of times this will be a reward for helping solving an event. For example, the biggest reward for getting help to doing an event
or to take the last token. So on the map there are a lot of tokens from the catch an informant, catch a witness, search a scene, stakeout. Most of the time there are 5, except for the stakeout there are 3. It kind of depends on the player count as well. So you have to have 5, and the one that takes the 5th or the 3rd is the one that actually gets to check the murderer against, like, for example, the rank. So is he a boss? Underboss.
Or underboss. So they get this envelope. Well, they get a token which says, okay, you have the information of the rank of the murderer. And they can get the card of the murderer. They can put it into that envelope in the correct way.
In the correct way,
And there's this little red circle here. Window. And there you will see if he is a boss or an underboss. And you have this for every kind of thing, for weapon, for the gang, for the getaway vehicle. So that's a big part. So if you get one of these,
you can eliminate
suspects. Always half of the suspects, right? First 8, then 4 more, then 2 more. And that's the biggest way to win the game. The suspect by itself, most of the time, not really useful. So another important thing is often by solving the events, which is still a big part of this game to get information, is the reward is to look at evidence of another player. Problem is the first half of the game,
no one has evidence.
Nobody has evidence yet. So if you get that reward, so you're doing all this effort to get that event out of your way, because events also have these things going on that limits your possibilities for all players. Which also is a hassle, because you all try to solve the murder. But if you get a reward that you can look at someone else's evidence and nobody has evidence, there's no reward. Sometimes you get a force card, which is a one-time use ability card, but that's about it. Which can be really frustrating. It feels like the first half of the game you're getting rewards that are not rewards.
Like we played a 3-player game of this one, and I was like running around the map making sure that the events were okay, or like doing like a significant amount of work for the events. And then it was like, oh, I can't really look at something. Maybe it's just that my strategy was off, or I wasn't really playing like a good game. That's a possibility as well. But I felt like, oh my god, I'm using so much time to solve the events, but the reward is not enough. And we had to solve the events in order to complete certain goals. Yeah,
sometimes you cannot do certain actions as long as an event is there, but you need to do the action to get the evidence tokens, and you get to look at these. So it was really hard. Now, I realize it's a part of the game because they want to make it difficult enough, because of course if you count it, you only need 4 pieces of evidence and you know the murderer. So it's a way to fight back against the officers, but it doesn't feel like the right way. Somehow, especially that first part of the game, the first half of the game, and it's not the shortest game, to be honest.
No, I thought it was going to be shorter, but I don't know what
it's a small box. It feels like a short game, and the box is 30 to 60 minutes. You can count at least 60, and I think it took us twice at least 90 minutes to play the game. So yeah, it was a little bit longer than it has to be. Yeah, I think that's the gameplay, right? But you're driving around trying to get those evidence, and it's sometimes a little bit frustrating getting it and getting the right evidence. If you get too many events, suspects will disappear from the game, so you will not be able to do that. To be honest, that's in the competitive game, it's not the biggest problem. Because it's not,
you just need the evidence
these are not
cards.
that important. I had 3 or 4 suspects in the game, and they all had the same trait, of which I knew that the murderer didn't. So it didn't give me new information. So in the co-op game, on the other hand, there's a different system. You don't lose suspect cards, but there is your time will diminish that you have. So you will, each time you have to draw an extra event, a 4th event, instead your time goes down by an hour. So you will have less hours to solve the crime, and which also in a solo game, and that feels a little bit better because still these are not that important. You're just trying to get the 4 pieces of evidence to win the game. But okay, it still felt like a better way to handle that penalty that you would get. Besides that, what else we have? We have, the rulebook. I've read the rulebook a couple of times. It's okay. Wasn't the best rulebook, but it was fine. It's everything is in there. I had one issue with the player aids. You have a player aid with for every player with the officer actions. Sadly enough, this didn't mention when you could take the action, day or night. That was the biggest problem. So it's on the back of the book. I'm not sure. It wasn't on the back. No, it's not on the back.
I think it's on the
on the player boards, on the player cards, maybe on the back.
This one. It says like day or night.
But it was still. Actually had 2 player aids that way, and it felt a little bit inconsistent because you could easily do this in this. The aesthetics of the game, they tried to do the little bit of the what time period would it be?
I have no idea. 50s, 60s,
the noir, the noir style, which it does. There is some artwork on the cards, I like the artwork. It is pretty neat. So it conveys that theme pretty well. The components.
You have the deluxe version, so we do have to mention that it's a deluxe.
I honestly don't know exactly what the difference is with the non-deluxe version, so that's important to realize. We have the bullet dice. I think they took it from Tiny Epic Western. They use the same system. It's really not, and sometimes you roll them and they stand straight up, so you have to re-roll them. That's okay, which is okay, but
I think they're thematic. I like them.
They're
cute.
It's okay. There's a little bag for the mobsters, which works pretty fine. The tokens are okay. biggest problem with the components for me
Yeah.
was my first game that I played, and I think in this case it was the forensics one. These little envelopes that you put your suspects in to check. This one, this is it's too narrow, which
you're probably not going to see it on
you're not going
camera.
to see it, but which damaged the first murderer card that we had. So that card is already recognizable. So
He's
that
not
was
going to be a murderer
not,
anymore.
that was not great. So you really have to.
Yeah, because I had to put it in, and I was like,
it's just not working.
am I doing it right?
I'm just doing it with this card, and the edge is getting damaged already by doing it once. So that's pretty sad, but well, there's nothing to do about it, but it's not good. That's not good. So that's a little bit. And then
the rest of the components, like all the tokens, I think they're just fine.
They're just fine.
They work. They're good. But the funny thing is, I love Tiny Epic. I like it when they put like everything in a small, not a lot of air. But this one needed just a little bit of air.
Yeah. So
we can't get it in there anymore.
It's a tiny epic puzzle to get everything in a box, which I haven't figured out yet. The puzzle, because the box lid just goes just doesn't get on it, and we have to do it again now after this, but it doesn't fit in the box. Which is kind of annoying. But so that also brings me to the Tiny Epic Games line.
I've only played this one and the Galaxies
I've
version.
played this one, Tiny Epic Galaxies, Dinosaurs, Zombies, and Quest, I think.
Okay.
And I get the same feeling with this one as I did with the other ones. It's just I'm not the biggest fan of the system of putting a lot of stuff in this tiny box, also with tiny pieces and all that stuff. Now this is still okay. The pieces are okay, compared to other ones of this series, but still they're trying to get a big game in a very small package, and sometimes, well, a lot of times it comes with a lot of fiddliness during setup, during gameplay, and during tear down and putting things back in a box. And this one isn't different, sadly enough. It's and all that together brings it for me that it's not a game that I will easily say, hey, let's play this, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a big setup with a lot of pieces. Now, I haven't talked about this yet. This is a small expansion, the Kingpin Expansion, which seemingly adds a lot of interesting things. During the game, you're also trying to capture the Kingpin that is roaming around. You have to figure out who's the Kingpin first. You have to look for the flop houses that you have to look into. You have all these landmarks that are I don't know what they did anymore, but they spawned
people.
Special meeples that you also special gangsters that you could get for rewards. Cool. It's a pretty cool thing, but it adds so much little tiny pieces and tokens and small
stuff.
Pieces to the game. Also things that you have to figure out, and how does that work again to make the game even more fiddly. Although I did like the ideas of this, what the expansion brings, but it's just too much in a small package for me.
Yeah, for me, like my brother already said, I really like deduction games. I'm a huge fan of deduction games.
I'm not.
He's not. But this, for me, it doesn't really feel like a deduction game. It's more like, is it a worker placement? Not really, because you're moving around the board.
It kind
set
of
collection kind of.
For me, it felt like a little bit like a race, because you know what you need to solve the crime. You need 4 pieces of evidence.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to do. And in the end, most people will get the murderer on time. Most. And then it is the person who has I think
time left,
the most,
think.
or their badge level. There's something like a badge level reward for getting tokens.
Yeah.
That's highest, and then how much time there is left.
Yeah.
So you're often going to get to an end game where it's super close, and that also feels a little bit anticlimactic for me.
I was really missing the deduction games. This is just like, okay, you get it's a boss, or I was like, okay, scratch 18 people. Normally you have to do it in your head, so you don't have any.
The rules say
booklets.
don't take notes, but you're allowed to. We even got some books that we could use.
Yeah.
The notepads.
But I didn't use any notepads. I did it in my head. But even then, it wasn't like it was like, oh, I have to think about this. If it's not that, then it could be this or that.
Yeah.
It's not like that. So it's not like, for example, Awkward Guest or Search for Planet X. I wouldn't call this a deduction game.
No, me neither.
No,
to be honest, no.
Maybe like a murder mystery kind of.
Yeah,
thingy.
it's Clue.
It's Clue.
It's Clue, but yeah, probably better, but still not great. And in the end, I think what hurts it the most is it's again an attempt to be semi-co-op.
Yeah, I did in the play that we had. So, like I said, I was really going for the events, and then I was going for the brown ones. Oh, the stakeouts.
Stakeouts,
but I don't know
which
what
you couldn't,
information it gives.
Stakeouts give you the getaway car information.
You have to have 3 in a 3-player game, and I had like 2, and then my brother took the 3rd, and I was like,
yeah. So I got the evidence card.
That was
I got maybe a force card or a suspect card.
I can't remember, or maybe like
yeah.
And that was also a thing for the. Sometimes I got to look at other people's suspect cards, which is okay. And I was like, I already knew that. Yeah. And then the next one that I drew on
was the same one. Yeah. It
was exactly the same.
I don't mind you
one.
when you get to look at another player's suspect card. You draw random and you look at it. I don't mind that random. It's just because they're not that important. In the end, it might have been important because you had 2 persons left that could have been the murderer. But yeah,
that was okay. I had a 50-50 shot and I guessed incorrectly, but that was okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, if someone would be like, hey, do you want to play this game? I'd be, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah.
But it's not one that I would look for myself.
I would definitely play the co-op version.
Yeah, same.
I don't think I will play this competitive again. Co-op. I'm still curious to. We got interrupted while we were playing with the expansion.
Like 10 minutes in and it was done.
But it had some interesting things. It's not going to be the go-to game, but if someone says, "Hey, I want to try this out," why not? And I think I kind of gets us to the conclusion of this first review that we do. And I think let's score it at points on 10, which is a very normal system here in Belgium. We also get graded in school from 0 to 10. So there's a podcast that I often listen to, Blue Pack, Pink Pack, and they got a 0 to 6 rating, but they sometimes do a split rating. So depends on how they feel about the game or how they feel like other people would feel about the game. Or in my case, I'm going to do my first split rating for the competitive and for the co-op version of this game.
I can only do the competitive
because I played the solo and we played a small part co-op as well.
Yeah, but I can't. It's not enough for me to be able to say like, okay.
Yeah, and that brings me for the competitive version at a 6.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go a 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah,
and that 6.5 is for me the co-op version.
Okay,
points. It's not a lot of difference, but it gives a little bit more. I like just the timing part a little bit better with the events that your time diminishes, and also the separation of the actions that you can do. I find that it's pretty fun. It's still it makes your character special. A little bit more special.
A little bit more special.
So in the end, it's 6.5, which is
I will play it again if people want to play it.
There you go. You can
voila.
voila, which is
it's
French, but we use it as well because we can. So yeah, that was our first review on this channel. Tiny Epic Crimes was the first victim.
Yeah, victim from gameplay.
Yeah, it wasn't maybe the best result that they got, but still, thank you for sending this game and for giving us the opportunity to try it out. I hope they also appreciate our honestness about our honestness. Is that a word? Honesty
Yeah,
Honestness?
honestness. Why the hell not?
Well, about this.
New word.
There you go.
Unlocked.
If you have any thoughts or about this game as well, if you played
Or
it,
if you missed something.
or if
you're
we
like,
did,
oh,
why are you complaining about something that's wrong? Let us know in the
Could
comments
be.
below.
Yeah.
Also, if you have any tips or whatever to how to continue this series, what to improve. We know that there are a lot of things that we can improve still in the future. We're trying to figure this out. The 2 people thing. I've done this for years solo, so it's a little bit of getting used to it and trying to find a way to not talk while the other one is talking too much and all that stuff. But let us know in the comments as well if you're not subscribed yet. Well,
you could.
Why not? No, you
Why?
can. If you want, you can subscribe and you can like this video if you want to.
That
It's
would be
also
awesome.
all things that help the channel in the end, which we try to get back to more
content
as well.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope that we see you all somewhere in the future.
See ya.
Bye bye.